here I am by Sunderland Point in the northwest of England. This is a place that is attached to the mainland of the UK until the tide comes in, and then it's cut off and becomes an island. So we better go soon, just in case we get cut off, and then we've got to stay here for hours. Sunderland used to be a little fishing village before the 17 and 1800s, where it became a port for trade, for cotton, for sugar, and unfortunately for slaves as well. All the buildings in that little village that I just showed you, many are still from that time and probably needed a lot of maintenance to keep them standing. Very muddy. Gonna slip over. Maybe the water isn't treacherous, it's the mud. Your own little island. There was a ship from the West Indies that arrived in 1736, and one of the slaves came here, and one night his master went off to do business and he was on his own and he died one night, and there was an unmarked grave for many years until it eventually became marked. And here you go, schools from around the county come here and they paint some stones and they remember him. This is his grave now. They suspected it was from some European sickness that he wasn't used to, and that's how he died, but we'll never know. Could you imagine though, coming from the West Indies to here? It's cold, it's windy, you know, and you're probably living in awful conditions as well. Shows how strong the wind is here. A bird table with a stone keeping it down. Look at all this mess that the sea has left. Look at that. For miles and miles. Could you imagine if you ran out of some food and you needed to go to the shop? You can't just do it, you'd have to get your snorkel and do it. Any kids that live in this Sunderland village, their school in Overton works around the tide times. So if they can't go to school because the tide's in, then they'll go into school a different time. Look at this! Use that for the fire, chop that up. It's all damp though. What a magnificent piece of tree. Obviously, when Lancaster was one of the big port areas, Sunderland was a very important place with trade for cotton and sugar. But eventually Liverpool and everything else overtook Lancaster, and then this just became kind of just a village again. But the buildings stayed. Okay, that out there, that is Plover Scar Lighthouse. Back in the Victorian times, that was lit with gas. Now it's fully automatic, so any boats coming in can see that there's land ho. And a little disconcerting is that in an hour or two this will be full of water, very wobbly underfoot. All this seawall has been put here to stop the constant erosion that is happening. And this brings me on to another point. Climate change is affecting this location. Of course, it's tidal now, but they estimate in the next 100 years the tide will have risen more than a metre, which means that a lot of those homes over there will be mostly like underwater. Well, the door will be underwater almost. So that means that people are just going to have to not be able to live here. It's not going to be habitable anymore. But yeah, in 100 years it might be an underwhelming Atlantis. More peaceful. More peaceful. The wind has gone. It's got me thinking though, because it's cut off from the land, from the mainland of the UK, does it still have to abide by the rules? What if the locals are all doing illegal stuff once the tides come in because they don't have to follow the rules anymore? What if it's like they're turning stamps upside down, they're making a load of noise, or they're looking suspicious whilst holding a salmon? This is a new build. If we go in here, going through the little door, we can look through here and see nothing. It's supposed to be an upside down image of horizon or whatever is in view there. Which is very strange to see a plantation type place in the northwest of England. Here we go, we have a floodgate here so that the water doesn't get in. 1751. All floodgates on the doors. Can you see? Floodgates. Floodgates. Floodgate. Wow. You can see the tide coming in quite quickly. Now then. Yeah, more floodgates. Floodgates so I don't get into the farm. There's an old telephone box here, 1990s style. That's nice. Nice feature to have outside your house, isn't it? So this one here, number 13, I'm not going to peek inside the house, but on the website it shows that in the next 100 years the tide will be halfway up the door. It's coming in, we better get off here quickly. Update, there's some information behind these two fallen bins. Nice setting, I know. I was wrong. After it was a port, it became quite a popular place for sunbathing. But once the nearby town of Morecambe became more popular, this sort of slipped out of view, and local artists came here. Such as, I'm just going to read off to the side, that's why I've got glasses on, so you can't tell where I'm looking. Artists like Philip Gilchrist, William Page Atkinson Wells, and others from the Manchester Academy. And it was a good spot for bird watching as well. Wow, very interesting history, and it would be a shame if it was going to be lost to climate change. We will see anyway. We'll look over here. There's been cars been caught out because they didn't know the tide times. And then they had Prince William in a helicopter coming to rescue them. Yeah. Also, fun fact, Sunderland means separated land. What an interesting place to live. For now. So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe and comment below with the place in your area which is most affected by weather. Remember, be bold, explore, and I'll see you next time in a beat. Know you're in England when there's a can of cider nearby.